Hello everyone, welcome back and thanks for watching. Today I'm finally going to be doing my follow-up video on my Razer Edge Pro. It's been a little late doing this video. I've been working a bunch, so I would have liked to have gotten it out sooner, but this is all the time I've had to make this happen. So let's go ahead and start with the physical design and features. So looking at the Edge, on top we have our USB 3.0 port, our dual mic headphone jack. These are our locks here on either side. When it goes into the Gamepad controller, it helps hold it in place. We have our power sleep button here. We also have our hard physical toggle button for the keyboard, which is very handy. A lot of times you want the keyboard to come up and it's difficult to do sometimes in Windows, so you can just press that, and sometimes you just want to turn it off because it's annoying. You also have the rotation lock, which I love, just to lock, because you don't have to worry about that flipping every time you hand it over to someone or show something else. On the bottom we have the proprietary connector for the charging power cable, as well as the dock and the Gamepad controller, and I'm sure the keyboard as well. These are the lock pins that go in to help hold it in place. We have our left and right speakers for stereo sound, and on the back we have our exhaust fan vent and our intake fan vent. Also have our serial number here for Windows, the Razer logo that glows when it's on, and the rest of it's a glass display. The back is like a hard plastic to help reduce weight. It's actually very well built though, and very durable. It's not super heavy. It weighs about as much as the Surface Pro, so about 2 pounds. Let's see, other than that, that's about it. It's pretty simple as far as cosmetics go. The speakers, I will say though, are great, especially for a tablet. They rival even, I'd say they beat out a lot of laptops even, so I was very impressed with that. Let's see, beyond that, let's move on to performance and just some of the benchmarks I've done. This is the disk speed of the SSD. Writes 261 megabytes a second and reads are about 480. I just started doing this test recently. I should have done it probably as soon as I got it. My drive is actually quite full. I've put tons of games and I probably have close to 30. Typically SSDs perform better when they have less on them. Once you break that 50% full capacity, they start to slow down a little bit. So these numbers probably would have been a little higher if I would have tested as soon as I got it, but those are still very, very good speeds. So moving on, let's see what else I have here. Done that one. This is our Windows index. We are looking, it's holding a 5.8 average, which is solid. The low score is actually on the graphics for the desktop performance, which is only running on the HD 4000, so I'd expect that to be a little lower. Gaming graphics are 6.6. It's on the GeForce 640. The hard disk is the SSD, so it's got an 8.0. The RAM, which is very fast, it's 1600 megahertz and dual channel DDR3, running at 7.9, and the processor is a 7.1. So very respectable score for a tablet, even an Ultrabook. Those are some pretty high numbers. Go ahead and leave this zoomed in for now. And let's see here, going on my 3D Mark. I actually uninstalled 3D Mark, otherwise I would have showed you the live number, but this is my score in 3D Mark 11 with the 640M. Scored 1587, which is about what everyone else is getting. It's in the 1500 range. That will probably improve as drivers come out and optimize things a little better, but overall you're looking at a 15 to 1600 score, which is very respectable. The HD 4000 comparatively runs around 600 to 700 of the same field, so it's a little over double with the 640. And we have our Geekbench score. I put a bunch of other tablets here as well, just to give you a comparative number. The Edge Pro, mine here, actually scored this number with Geekbench, 7165. Compared to the Surface Pro, which is running an i5, scored 5457. I was not able to test or find any numbers on just the standard Edge, which would probably be a lot more comparative to the Edge, to the Surface Pro, as far as actual real-world performance, because they're both i5 processors. The Nexus 10 scores 2612, Nexus 4 scores 2224, iPad 4 it's around 1735, Nexus 7 1491, iPad 3, iPad 2, and iPad gives you the numbers there. Now all these tests were either done by me or done by my friends that actually have the tablet, so I didn't just pull these from the internet. These are my actual test numbers, so they're fairly accurate. Of course, these numbers can change with operating system updates and if you've done other optimizations on it to modify it, but these are just general numbers from just the devices themselves. So overall, though, a very solid score for the tablet. And so moving on, that's probably about all the performance tests I've done so far. If we go on to battery life and talk about the battery life, I know that's always a hot topic. Everyone wants to know how long it's going to last. All my battery life tests were done with the volume at 50% and the brightness at 50%. And as far as batteries go, the actual extended battery that I popped in the keyboard, I'm sorry, not the keyboard, the actual gamepad dock that will fit in the new keyboard when it comes out is the exact same capacity as the one in the device itself, which is interesting. It's kind of good to know. So it literally does have the exact same capacity. As far as testing goes, using it as just a tablet generic PC, when I was using Word, Excel, some YouTube videos, and general web browsing, I had the battery mode set to balanced. So a balance of performance, but also battery conservation. I was able to get 5 hours and 19 minutes out of it. So you could probably bump it up a little more if you turned Wi-Fi off and were just using it on the desktop mode, maybe in just office applications, and set it to power saving mode. You could probably push it over maybe a little over 6 hours. As soon as you bump it up and start gaming on it, though, obviously the battery goes down quite a bit. And that would go for any mobile device, though. Same with my Alienware or any other tablet for that matter, or laptop. So my gaming when playing like a high-end game like Need for Speed Most Wanted, with the dock and the 360 controller. So running it kind of how it's set up now with the 360 controller. With just the battery on board, I got about an hour and 4 minutes. When I plugged it into the controller gamepad, with the extended battery, I was able to push it up to about 2 hours. An hour and 56 minutes. So roughly about 2 hours with the battery dock with a high-end intensive game. I mean, that was pushing it up. I was running maybe 45 to 60 frames with that game. So it was definitely taxing the system. When I'm playing Limbo, Mark of the Ninja, and 2D games like of that nature, I was getting about a little over 3 hours. So it does go up depending on how intense the game is and how much it's actually pulling from the system, if the fans are kicking on and whatnot. So let's see, going from there, talking about the accessories themselves, I did get the gamepad, which is built very, very well. I have the extended battery in there. The releases are here. The actual panel itself here does have spring-loaded rubber feet. So, let me pull this out a little bit. It does have spring-loaded rubber feet, so when you pop the edge in there, it actually will pop it back out for easy installation and removal. There are also rubber feet too in the outsides, as well as the inside rim here to prevent it from rubbing and scratching the tablet, which is a nice idea there. This is the actual lock that locks the tablet in. All the buttons feel very good, very responsive. The analogs are probably compared to maybe the 360. They're fairly stiff, but not uncomfortably stiff. They're a little harder to move than the PS3, but about the same as the 360. And the buttons themselves feel about the same as well. They're backlit, so the D-pad lights up as well as the physical buttons over here on the right side. And the back itself, the Razer logo does light up when the actual edge is in there. It glows just like the tablet. And these are the vent slots and the physical buttons. This is for the headphone jack and the USB port, volume buttons of course, your rotation lock, keyboard, and your power button. Those are all the same there. You do have 3 buttons for triggers. What I've noticed is the middle button here tends to be the Xbox button or PlayStation button. If you had one plugged in, kind of acts as that button there. It is programmable though to whatever you like. So overall, I'm very happy with this. I do like that you can actually charge the controller battery independently from the edge itself. So if I plug the charger into this without the tablet plugged in or docked in here, it will actually charge the onboard battery, which is very cool. Another cool thing I like, and I found out recently, is when the actual edge is in the unit itself, the extended battery actually just recharges the tablet battery itself. So it does not run it as a second battery. It actually recharges it. So if you were gaming in the tablet mode in the dock, you would run down your extended battery first, and then you would run down your tablet battery, which is actually nice. So if you were doing some gaming and then maybe wanted to pop it out and just walk around with it and use it for a tablet or just look something up on briefly, you would have more battery life on your actual tablet, which is very cool. That was a nice design. And the dock itself, go into that guy. Pretty simple here. I'm sure you've seen it before. In the back, our charging port, our headphone and microphone jack, HDMI out, and our 3 USB 2.0 ports. The dock is very nice. It has a very sticky rubber bottom, so it doesn't slide at all. But the dock has enough ports on here where it could actually not only become the game console, and you can plug in several controllers, maybe some arcade sticks, but it can even be used as a desktop replacement because you have so many ports on it, versus a comparative iPad dock or an Android dock. So that actually is very nice. I'm very happy with the dock. I'm using it a lot. And my other accessories that I purchased just to make this a complete system on its own. I did buy this Bluetooth keyboard, which is a GE keyboard, and it's compatible with OS X, Windows, Android, and iOS. So it's compatible with a number of different platforms. It's very thin and very portable, and it's Bluetooth, so I do like that. No wires. The box is actually right there. Purchased that at Target for $40. Another thing I got too is the Kabuto Razer mobile mouse pad. It's actually very small, very portable. It's one of their newer mouse pads. I like it a lot. And it was, I believe, $17 at Best Buy. I think it normally retails for about $20. So not a bad buy there. Also, I got the Orochi mouse, the 2013 edition, which I have here. It's a Bluetooth, as well as it also has the travel case and a USB cable to plug it in. So if you want to use it as a physical plugged-in USB mouse, you can do that as well if the batteries die or you just prefer that. That's also capable. And there is the actual box for that. Over here is the actual restore drive I got from Razer when my Edge started acting up. And that has the restore image to restore it back to the factory build. It's a 16 gig drive, and it has about 8.5 gigs worth of information on there, so there's still plenty of free space. That's probably about it. I did buy, actually underneath the gamepad here is an HP netbook case that I got from Best Buy as well. It's actually got a lot of padding and a spot for the AC adapter to fit it in the front. So for keeping it safe and traveling with it, I did like this. Haven't found anything good for the controller yet, unfortunately, but hopefully Razer fixes that soon and releases something nice. But I bought this at Best Buy for about, it was almost 20 bucks, and it is an HP case, but it doesn't have HP anywhere on there except for the little tag here. So, other than that, it's very clean and very nice. So, okay, let's see. Other than that, as far as the OS itself, it's a very clean install of Windows 8. Razer didn't load it up with any bloatware or anything special like that. They do have their Razer launcher here, which can be used with the controller to easily access your games, and it also has its own optimizer, which will optimize your operating system. It'll reduce some of the resources that Windows is using in order to increase performance on the game that you're running. I've used it a few times. It does boost frame rates after a minute or so after it's done its optimizing. You can customize everything that it actually looks at to adjust and optimize depending on the game you're playing. For the most part, its automated system runs really well. Another cool thing it has is the screen capture module. You can actually monitor your frames, and you can choose which corner it's in, just like Fraps. It has its own built-in screenshot capture. You can choose the output, the bitmaps, JPEGs, or PNG files. And it also has its own video capture built in, so you can capture the screen in live video, which is very, very handy. You can choose the game resolution. You can lower the resolution down to medium, small, or smallest if you want to record in a lower res. Also the video quality, if you want it the highest quality or the lowest quality, depending on if you want to conserve disk space or maybe you don't want it to be consuming a lot of your resources while you're recording. Otherwise, the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory, but a nice little program. Minimize that. Otherwise, it's a very clean install. A few programs I put on there. Obviously, I put the disk speed for testing the disk. I put on the Windows 8 Classic Shell, which is a cool little start button that you can get to make it more like Windows 7 or XP or Vista, whichever you prefer. And it gives you access to your programs very quickly here versus using the Metro look, which I do keep on because as a tablet this works very well, but as a desktop and just for doing serious work on it, I still prefer the start button. So classic shell is my preferred solution for that. Let's see, Geekbench, of course, I installed for the tests there. I also put AIDA 64, formerly known as Everest. This is a cool program. I've shown this off before, but it gives you a lot of real-world numbers on the system itself. Monitoring temperatures and other system information. Found out the display is actually made by LG. The actual operating temperature usually is anywhere from like 45 to 50 degrees Celsius standard. The device itself does not get hot at all, though. I've never had it hot to the touch. It gets warm, about as warm as my iPad would if I was gaming on it, so completely happy with that. The fans themselves, too, when they kick on, barely noticeable. I really don't have an issue with that. I thought it was going to be louder than it was. And actual benchmarks here, just some quick ones that I ran. This is the memory read. Shows you where it stacks up against some of the other major desktop processors. The i7, some of the AMD FX processors, gives you an idea there of where it stacks up. So it runs really well against those guys as far as the RAM and memory performance. Here is the memory write performance, another test there, where it stacks up. Memory copy, memory latency. Definitely gets top honors in those fields there. As far as CPU, raw CPU performance, definitely falls down quite a bit compared to some of the Titans. This is where it actually stacks up. And these are the guys above it, obviously at the top, being the 6-core i7 3960 Extreme. Then you've got an 8-core Xeon in there, 12-core Opteron processor. So you got some big processors at the top here, and this is where we stack up here on the market there. So just to give you an idea, but this has a lot of information in it, this program here. Lots of cool stuff you can do, benchmarks, testing, find system information, find serial numbers out of things maybe you've entered in the past, want to find out what the old serial number is. Great program for that sort of stuff. So, beyond that though, as far as gaming performance, I will say I'm very pleased with the actual performance I've gotten out of this bad boy. I was kind of expecting when I got it to get anywhere from, I'd say, low to medium settings out of most games, when in reality I'm actually getting medium-high settings. Definitely very impressed with the performance. I did update the graphics driver from the 3.06 to 3.20, which just came out recently. That's actually a beta driver, and I did get a little bump in frames. I definitely recommend doing that. I did do all the Windows updates, which there was about 17 when I got it. Haven't had any issues with that. Otherwise, only other things I would not do is I went to update the wireless card driver, the Intel Centrino wireless card from the site. Intel had a newer driver. I updated that, started having a lot of trouble, a lot of random disconnects from the wireless networks, as well as my Bluetooth stopped responding at times, so my devices would disconnect randomly. Definitely no good there, so I uninstalled that, reverted back to the factory driver, and haven't had any issues since. So I'd stand away from that for now until Razer officially releases an updated, modified, optimized version of that. Otherwise, everything else has been good. Like I said, gaming was good. Using it as a tablet's good. I'm very, very happy with the device so far. It's a great product and continues to exceed my expectations. So, in future videos, I'm going to be hopefully doing projects. I plan hopefully to get maybe Ubuntu on here. Linux, I was originally going to possibly try a Windows 7 project. Sort of backed off from that a little bit, though, after I found out that this uses Windows signatures in the BIOS to authorize operating systems. So there's not a signature for Windows 7, only Windows 8, so I could potentially brick the device if I get too far into it. So I'm going to be very careful on that test there and pushing that project forward. But I will continue to try, and if I do get it working, I'll show everyone how to do it. But beyond that, though, I will be doing some other tests on there and just general, projects maybe to make it better, faster, or if I find any tricks of the trade, I'll let everyone know. I was able to get into the BIOS, which is pretty cool. Not a lot in there, but I did find it. So, otherwise, definitely stay tuned. Try to check us out on our new Razer World forum that we made. We made this for Razer gamers to unite on one centralized location so that they could communicate and exchange information and ideas, talk about troubleshooting, and other projects that we have, just to bring everyone to one place. I've been looking around and haven't found that yet, other than going to Razer's Facebook page, which you know how Facebook works. You just chat, and then eventually the topics just fall off the other end, and then they disappear and no one ever knows of it. So a forum would be a great place to get everyone to work on something and have it stay there for a while and we can build up a reputation. So that's razerworld.com, and then you can always check us out on our parent site at gamingvent.com. But stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to be doing some gaming videos that actually show the Edge playing games and the performance that we're getting out of it. I'll also take requests too if you want to see a specific game run on here, and I can show you the settings and any tweaks I've done to optimize it for it. So thanks for viewing, and stay tuned for more videos, and have a good one, guys.